hello there and welcome to the channel. And in this video I've been sneaking a look at the lovely Monty Don's homework and taking a few notes as to what his top gardening jobs for March are. So we'll go by them one by one, and be honest with you, I've already started doing a few before I even took a look at his work. So let's start with number one. Number one is really interesting. It's how to increase your number of plants through the division of herbaceous plants. So let's take a look. So there has been a change in the weather. We're having much sunnier days and the overnight temperatures are starting to increase, and this means that soil temperatures are rising, and because of that we're starting to see herbaceous plants starting to emerge through the soil surface. Take a look at this agapanthus I've got here. There you go, starting to see these new green shoots coming through, and just here I've got some lysimachia again just starting to come through in these little groups. Now while these are still fairly dormant, I know they are emerging, so they are growing, but while they are still fairly dormant, it's an ideal time to dig out a section of this plant and move it to another place. So as with this alstroemeria, which was covering an area like this, I've removed a root section intact. I didn't break it up, I didn't mess about with the roots, but took just a big lump out, took it away. As I did the same with this hosta, you can just see the bud coming through. It was a big plant. I took out a section of root here and I've repotted it on elsewhere in the garden. So you can't see it because the buds is quite dark. Oh no, you can. Just see it here. So I've got a lovely, I think it's called the tiger stripe hosta. This is really lovely. So I've potted that on actually. The giant leaved hosta, again, I put in another pot rather than in another border, so I'm waiting for this to come through and fill up this whole entire space. That alstroemeria section I put out in the front garden where it's going to get a lot more light, and I want it in more light because the foliage colour becomes much richer, much darker. Problem in the back garden is that it gets quite shady with all the trees there. Now I imagine I'll be moving and propagating from a few more herbaceous plants as they start to emerge, as I have plans for this Nyphophia red top poker just as soon as I've found a suitable place to put it into. But this is such a good flowering plant. Hold on, I just want to interrupt this broadcast with some important news. If you are finding this video interesting, or at the very least amusing, then consider pressing the like button. That way YouTube can help other people looking for this information to find this video. And if you want to support this video further, you can just by subscribing. It's absolutely free. If you want to find out whenever we publish a new video, then click on that notification bell. Anyway, I'll let old boil butt continue talking. Next on Monty's list is to make a start on mowing your lawns, and you want to be quite careful. March is absolutely fine, especially in the south coast, start mowing your lawns, but just pick a day when the soil isn't too wet, because if you're using a heavy petrol powered motor, and the weight of that can cause it to sink into the lawn, and that'll just make a very messy, muddy patch, which doesn't help anybody. And when you are cutting, you wouldn't be cutting as close to the ground as you would have done throughout the regular mowing season, but you know, just take off like the top inch or the top third just to give it the start, you know. But be honest with you, give it a few more weeks and your lawns are going to be romping away. So this all helps. Also, while you're out there, check for lawn weeds that may need attention. Check for dips in the lawn that might need attention. We'll go into that in a bit more detail shortly. Now, you wouldn't really use your typical lawn care products until next month, April, but if you want to improve your drainage, then you're more than welcome to do so. Get yourself a hollow tine aerator and it will remove sections of soil out of your lawn. You could get away with putting in a fork and wheedling it about, but the trouble is, give it like a day or so and those holes caused by the fork will just sort of close back up again. Doesn't really work. Weed killers, if you've got some pernicious weeds in your lawn, I mean any of the rosette lawn weeds, you could just take out with a trowel, as with bellis and couch grass, things like that. But it flipping heck, Ooh. But you could always wait until your lawn care products are available, because the plants need to be actively growing a little bit stronger for those to work effectively. And also, many of these are a sort of compromised product, so they don't always get all of your weeds in the lawn. You might need to use several products with different weed killers in it, but you know, do your best. Oh, and if you have got divots, then use some topsoil, sterilised topsoil mixed in with sharp sand, and just level it out a wee bit, because if your mower goes over it, you've got a good chance of scalping the turf as you come out of those divots. Now, there is one job that Monty Don advises you not to do, and that is regarding to your flowering bulbs. Once they have finished flowering, he recommends leaving the foliage in place and not to cut it back. And a particular issue in you've decided to grow daffodils in your lawn, because these are bulbs, you usually allow the nutrition, the starches or whatever in the foliage to be drawn back into the bulb to give it plenty of energy and food for next year's growth. So if you start cutting those leaves back, you're going to affect next year's flowering display. So it makes absolute sense. You never cut back those old bulb leaves. As best as you can, just allow them to be absorbed back into the bulb. Now, there are some plants that are going to require some pruning in order to give you an improved display later on in the year. If you're looking at flowering plants, and now is an ideal time to prune your late flowering clematis and your buddleias. Oh, and your roses. Your roses normally cut back in March. Cut down to the third outward facing bud. Use a angled cut, and well, that's it, isn't it? March is also the time of year when you cut back those shrubs that produce ornamental, colourful stems for the winter period. And as soon as the leaves start to be produced, so that'll be like your ornamental willows or your ornamental dogwoods, and you cut those back to about 6 inches from ground level. Monty also recommends cutting back your Sambucus nigra to give a flush of new growth, and that does look good when you do that. Deciduous grasses like your miscanthus, you can cut those back now, but avoid cutting your evergreen grasses like your steeper. And lastly but not least, it's time to start potting on your bare root or propagated rhizomes like your canna lilies, like your dahlias, like your ginger lilies. Get those potted on into pots, but keep them out of the frost. So a cool greenhouse should be suffice. You can get frost in there at this time of year, but you know, just keep an eye on it, or maybe put it into a garage. But really, as soon as the new shoots start to come through, you get those back into the light and hardened off. So there you go. Those are the jobs that Monty Don recommends for doing in March. And if you've got any other great jobs that you would like to recommend for doing in March, then you're more than welcome to put those in the comments. We would genuinely love to hear from you. I mean, one such job would be to start removing all of this cold protection, which, to be honest with you, in the next couple of days, probably be taking all those off. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Goodbye. Right, now, just before you go, if you want to see more content, more behind the scenes stuff, and images that I've taken of some weird freaky plants over the years, then you're in luck, because we've created an Instagram page. So you can find the link in our description. You can find the link on our main page, and if I'm clever enough, I might be able to get a link somewhere up there. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you want to see more YouTube stuff, then check out this video here. That's quite a good one. And if it doesn't float your boat, then another one right there. And enjoy these while still got the strength, imagination and aptitude to make them. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.